Hey, jerks. Welcome. Surprise show. I wasn't even sure we are going to go live this afternoon. My mods hate me right now. But we have a special guest. And I have a lot today, too. I'm going to be on the Broken Baker show today at 6 p.m. with two attorneys, Andrea Burkhart, who I love, and obviously attorney Mark Betterow is also going to be on that show. We love him, too. And Brandy Churchwell. Going to be a great show today. 6 p.m. I'll be a guest live on the Broken Baker channel. Subscribe to him. Also at 8:30, we will be live again with attorney Betterow, mass practicing attorney Shannon McMahon, who ran for district attorney in Bristol County. She'll be live with us tonight at 8:30 on the Young Jerks. We're going to be talking about the Karen Reed jury, the readback, the discussion we had the other night. She's going to break it down for us, what it means in Massachusetts, how this actually works with an expert, someone who's actually been in mass courts, and with Betterow, who's been doing more research this weekend too. It's going to be an exciting day. It was nice to have a day off yesterday. I have a special guest here today. Somebody that I discovered has been following Free Karen Reed, and I've known about this guy for decades. He's another one who kind of a legend. Yeah, he is a legend. I think I don't know if Budweiser sponsored him at one point, but they definitely should have. He's got like I love the song Voices Carry. I just love that song by Amy Mann. And I love, like, not too often that I love a song like that from an artist that I love the cover even more. And these guys, Gang Green, did a cover of that song. I love that cover. And they are legendary. There's no doubt about it. And people really love this guy. Like, he is beloved. Chris Doherty is his name. And he's a smart guy. And he's humble and he's funny. And I'm wicked honored that he reached out to me to come on the show because I mentioned him the other day. And I know who he is. I've seen his music. And I was just aware of just the name Gang Green when I was just like young, really young. Just, you'd hear who's playing at Bunratty's tonight or who's playing at this place on the local stations. And then you'd hear the cover too. You'd hear Voices Carry and the compilations. And he's been in movies. I've seen them. I think American Hardcore, I believe he was in too. I know I've seen him in some documentaries. It's exciting to have somebody like this on here. He's a leader too. He's definitely a leader. So I'm wicked excited. Chris Doherty from Gang Green is going to join us right now live to talk about why and how he started supporting Free Karen Reed. Hey, Chris Doherty.
Mark, how you doing, buddy?
Mark's the attorney. Everyone keeps calling me Mark now. It's so funny.
I mean, it's my honor to be on the show. I've been following the Karen Reed case for a while, and every night I watch, one of you guys. I've been Turtle Boy. I've been watching a lot longer. And you told me that you told him that was me in the picture. He's like, no way, I didn't know that, right?
Yes. Yeah, we found that picture. One of your supporters posted that picture on like my Twitter feed. I was like, holy shit, Chris Doherty.
Yeah.
And so I showed Turtle Boy. I was like, did you know this was Chris Doherty when you took a picture? He had no idea.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, I mean, he was very polite, a total gentleman. I said, Aiden, and he kind of looked at me and said, hi, my name is Chris Doherty. And he shook my hand like really, like a true gentleman.
Tell us about you, like for people that don't know, especially like the younger kids, maybe, or even the folks that aren't into hardcore music like I am, or local Boston music too. Tell us who you are.
Don't make the mistakes I made. That's for all the younger kids, and for anyone that doesn't know who I am. When I was a kid, I lived in Braintree. I never say I grew up there because I still haven't grown up.
But you didn't have to grow up, huh?
No. I came from. I'm the youngest of 7 brothers and sisters, and the benefit of that was that they all kind of like different music, but not too far. I mean, I was born in '65, so by 1970, I knew how to use the turntable, and I just put whatever I wanted on, and it was such a huge variety of music to choose from. And then it was like definitely not age appropriate. I think I was 9 years old. My sister took me to see The Song Remains the Same at the Strand Theater in Quincy. And she's like, this is just like a concert. And I'm like, oh, this is great. I mean, I was a troublemaker. And these guys are smoking weed, drinking beers, throwing balls at the screen. There's complete, no adult supervision. It was awesome. And yeah, that's why I want to get into it. Then my other sister, Susan, took me to see Bruce Springsteen, the Boston guy, and it was a Christmas present from her. She got a ticket for me. I think I was about 11 then. And I'm not afraid to admit that I'm a big fan of Bruce Springsteen, even though my genre of music is quite different from his. But I watched him up there putting on a hell of a show. I was like, that is what I want to do. So between The Song Remains the Same and Bruce Springsteen Live, I begged for a guitar. And someone just asked me recently who my biggest influence was on guitar. I was like, well, I didn't have to go that far. I live in the same house with my brother Brian. He's an amazing player, and to this day, my guitar hero. I mean, he's just one of the most incredible musicians that I've ever come across. And believe me, I play with a lot of people, but he taught me how to play, and he was left-handed, and I'm right-handed, so it was kind of looking at a mirror. He was a great teacher, and I'm just blessed to have all those brothers and sisters influencing me. Like one sister, like listen to Jim Croce and Livingston Taylor, and a brother listened to Deep Purple and Aerosmith.
And who were some of the bands? I know you've toured like the world a bunch of times.
Extended, yes.
Yeah, who are some of the bands that you've performed with over the years?
We played with Ozzy. We did a ton of shows with Megadeth back before they got sober and they had a hard time keeping up with us. We did a huge tour with Social Distortion, America and Canada, and with Stiff Little Fingers.
And for people maybe who want to know more about that history, were you in that movie American Hardcore? I thought you were.
Yes. I'm the guy at the end of the movie when they were talking about like the Blink-182s and Green Days, and I said, those kids are driving their tour buses on the highway we paved.
There you go.
Yeah, that was my line. Yeah.
That's the truth. That's absolutely the truth. What about you? It's funny because you mentioned that song Remains the Same, how people were getting wild. That kind of reminds me of like what you created with Gangrene in a way. I mean, I wasn't really there, so I don't know, but from everything I've heard, that was kind of how your whole show went, wasn't it? Like it was a wild show, wasn't it?
Yeah, 100% balls to the walls, beer drenched.
Beer drenched. Did Budweiser actually ever sponsor you? Because like you promoted Budweiser big.
Gangrene shirt looks like it was stolen from the Budweiser logo. Now we tried to get endorsed, and they wouldn't do that. So we tried to get sued, and they wouldn't do that either.
So I was wondering they were either going to sue you or sponsor you, and they wouldn't do either one. That's funny. Maybe they just were like, we kind of like it, but we can't admit it. Like,
yeah, I mean, so many people rip off that logo, and it all came from our manager Alec Peters, who was a little bit older than us. I mean, we're kids out there, and we get this manager that is old enough to buy us beer, and he, like Leonard Skinner did the Jack Daniels thing. We were sitting at a bar at Father's too. I wish I had the original. We came up with that on a bar napkin with a big pen.
Amazing. And
thousands and thousands and thousands of sales later, the shirt still holds up.
That shirt still sells, I bet, right? Does it sell like as much as it did? Do you still sell those?
Yeah. And we call it Old Glory.
Oh.
Because it's like the flag.
I look at I follow Al from SSD, and I met Springer a few times. SSD, like I see he sells the merch. He must sell more merch today than he probably ever did before. Like, do you find that too? Like people want that old merchandise. They want those T-shirts from the past.
I mean, Al's a sharp businessman, and I went to see a Tree last night who were amazing, And Dave, thanks for the shout out when you were on the show. But also this band, The Long Way, played. Jamie, the bass player from SSD, and Steve from Slapshot, both amazing players. The band was awesome. I was really happy to see those guys up on stage. But Jamie came up to me. We talked a few times during the night. But at one point, he said, "Chris, I remember it like it was yesterday. I saw the first show you guys ever played at the media workshop, and I remember leaving there with Al saying, 'How are we going to compete with that?'"
And
So
how did you compete with it? Like, how was that back in the day?
no, I just always made sure that we were the best band we could be. I got unwavering drive and determination to be good. And so, we rehearsed all the time, sometimes 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. But as productive as that sounds, all right, so we get to the rehearsal studio at 10 a.m. with a suitcase of Budweiser. And when that was gone, it was like, okay, let's go to lunch, get something to eat, and then come back with another suitcase. And when that was gone, all right, we're toasted by then. You have four guys in the band, 48 beers, that's 12 apiece. So when we got into the live concert atmosphere and, lots of free drinks flown backstage and all that, we were so well rehearsed at partying and playing at the same time. We always did a great show.
That's amazing. You were just in your just made sure that you had enough alcohol in you throughout the whole process. That because it is tough when you're. I imagine like doing like even for me, I'm sitting here by myself, but you get such a high after a show. I can't imagine what it's like being gangrene when you have all these people loving you right in front of you and you performing this music that people are into. I just get it must be a high. It must be I think
Yeah,
that's one of the things about musicians. They have a hard time coming down, right?
yeah. One of the coolest things ever was the first time we go to Europe. We're in all these like non-English speaking companies, France, Italy, Spain, even the UK. They don't like the hardest person to understand is a drunk guy from England. I mean, you can like a Russian speaking American, you can understand better than that Cockney accent when he's all boozed up. But just going up there and playing, first time over there and standing up at the microphone with strumming my guitar, I'm looking out and everybody, as far as I can see, which probably like 15, 20 rows, is singing along to every word to my songs. That was like whoa, that was a holy crap moment. But we spent a lot of time touring Europe. In fact, we just went back last August.
So you're still performing now too, aren't you?
Yeah, I can't play guitar anymore. I mean, you might know, and
Yeah. I went to that. You had a fundraiser too. You had a so
yeah,
people should know you had a stroke, right?
yeah, it's coming up on 6 years. I was put in the hospital on Halloween 2018, and my benefit was at the Paradise on January 11th. And I got out of the that was a Friday night. I got out of the hospital on Wednesday, and I need to get back for the benefit. My friend
I
Kurt,
yeah.
I was living in Cincinnati at the time. He got a layover in Cincinnati. We met at the airport and then flew back to Boston together.
I was shocked that you were at that benefit. Everyone was. It just shows again who you are. Kind of, you're just such a. You had to be there.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of love in the room that night, Mike.
There was.
Yeah,
I mean, they raised a lot of money for you. I saw Dave performed at that one too. That's a tree. That was great.
the outlets were amazing, and
Yes,
one of the bands that you could count on playing it, 2 or 3 times a month, and that would be the party for that weekend.
unbelievable. That was at the Paradise. That was a great event. So good to see people raising money for you there.
Yeah, and it really helped. Uh, I had this stroke, right? I was living in Cincinnati, and my ex-wife at the time was I was kind of glomming off her insurance. I had Blue Cross Blue Shield, the top of the line stuff. And then they did like the citywide. She was a city employee. She works for the health department. They did this like citywide audit, and we couldn't, prove that we both lived in the same residence. even though it's, our checks had the same name and address on it. And so I have a stroke, and I don't really know. It happened on October 28th. And, people were trying to call me, and I wasn't answering the phone. So my ex-wife, Stephanie, came over, and she was beating on my door. I was like, hey, some a-hole's been pounding on my door for the last hour. She's like, that a-hole's me, let me in. And then finally she called the life squad, and they broke down my door. They took me to the hospital, and I just got dropped from the insurance, right? So they brought me to University Hospital where, let's say, an African-American with a gunshot wound and no insurance will be taken. But, they were good care. I was telling this story last night. I was laying in this hospital bed completely nude, right? And it seemed like I couldn't even count, but probably, mid-teens number of nurses that worked there, just walking by me, just laying in bed with my junk hanging out. Then a field trip comes through of all these nursing school students. I'm still laying there. I was like, I haven't been seen naked by this many women since I was on tour with Social Distortion.
What I want to ask about Ozzy, since you played some shows with Ozzy. When was that? Where was that? How was Ozzy? Do you meet Sharon? Ozzy Osbourne. Tell me about him.
I'll go into it. It was Ozzy, Queensryche, Raven, and Gangrene at the Kingston Fairgrounds up in Kingston, New Hampshire.
Wow. Queensryche too. That's amazing.
Yeah, and we had like this construction trailer for the dressing rooms, and it was kind of cut in half, and we were on one side and Queensryche was on the other. And we're like rocking the thing back and forth, and they were yelling, I was like, "Well, you having a hard time putting on your fucking tights?" And there was a huge backstage area, probably had 20 porta potties. But the one closest to Ozzy's dressing room had a master padlock on it. Only Sharon had the combination. So you could sit in her own shit, but we weren't at that point. We're a hardcore punk rock band. I mean, these are monster metal bands, and we had to do it. I mean, to this day, people say, "Yeah, I saw you guys play with Ozzy." It's like, "Oh yeah, were you the guy giving me the finger?"
Did they act like that? I wonder how did they treat you, the audience there, when you're opening up for Ozzy and Queensryche?
Hold up my middle finger, and I had 10,000 people putting the middle finger back at me. It was awesome.
Did they like it? Did they like you at the end? They must have.
Fucking hated us. We sold a shitload of T-shirts before we went on, and then people were trying to bring them back. They're sorry, refunds or exchanges.
Well, did you say some shit to piss them off? Like you giving them the finger and they gave you the finger back, or they just didn't like the music? They wanted to, like heavy metal, not hardcore music.
They weren't digging it. And I was like, hey, you know what? You got some fucking knucklehead metal dude from New Hampshire who waits around to go to the record store setting and get the newest metal album that comes out. You're a bunch of fucking pea-brains idiots. You're down there and I'm up here, so fuck you.
Oh man, that must have been wild. Was Sharon upset? Did you hear anything from Sharon after that show or anything?
But we got up there and Tony Baradine and somebody else from BCM were there. God bless them. Because, we were doing a lot at that time, making a lot of noise, and had, as part of our contractual agreement, a lot of beer provided. But there was something about Ozzy, like the promoter cannot write off alcohol as an expense for the opening bands. So we were like, fuck you, man. And then
they were trying to cut your alcohol tab, basically.
They cut it out. It said the promoter could not write it off as an expense. So the guys from BPM were with us, and we sat in our luxurious touring van for a little while, shooting the shit and drinking whatever beers we had left over from, that morning. And they went out and they bought us a couple of cases of Budweiser.
Well, BCN hooked you up that day.
As always.
Yeah, I love WBCN was such a great station back in the day.
Wasn't it? Yeah, I was just watching a documentary recently. about it.
Yeah. Nothing like it today. There's nothing out there. It's just gone, that kind of thing.
And the personalities that were there,
Yeah.
like Charles and I just recently ran into Carter Allen at the Band 19 reunion show. They had such great, like Chachi. I
Yeah, I
remember,
love Chuck. He's a good guy.
like in charge of promotions. I say, hey Chachi, I need 4 tickets to the Monster Rock thing down in Foxborough. All right, come by this afternoon. Well, what happened earlier in that day? I was going through uh, the Westin Hotel, and I got off the train. I was looking for a bathroom. I was like, hey, you got a men's room here? And this guy bent down, John Fortunato, was a bartender at the Rat. I was like, John, Chris, how you doing, man? So I sat there, and they had this Motown loop on, and I sat there like drinking all day. And by the time I showed up to BCN, I had trouble opening the door. Never mind walking through it.
I
And
love BC. I love that you brought up Chachi because I used to work with him, like through email basically on like the Hempfest shit. They would sponsor it. I was like the promotion manager of the event. So, but other like causes, anytime I would hit them up for any type of nonprofit or fundraiser, Edifice and Chachi would be like, "Yep." Like they would do so much for the community that nobody else would do. Like it was just like they would give you the green light instantly and just support you. It was just you don't see that anymore.
one of my favorite Chachi stories is, he was like the promotions guy, right?
Yep.
I heard that LoJack donated one of their devices to BCN, and then the BCN van got stolen. They hunt it down, and it goes to Chachi's fucking Corvette.
He put it in his own car. Good for him. That sounds like Chachi. I love it. Good for him.
Uh, we went, myself and Springer. We were just talking about one of the
Yeah.
most sincere best friends I have in this whole world. I love the kid.
SSD.
Yeah,
Springer.
he's such a genuine friend. I mean, he really cares. I am lucky I am blessed to have a friend like that. But we went up with someone from Atlantic Records, Tony Baradini, myself, Springer, and Alec Peters, our manager. We get to BCN. There's a limo sitting out front, and Baradini goes, "You guys eat yet?" And he goes, "I'm like, no." He hands us $50. So we go to the liquor store on the corner there, come back, and he's sitting in the limo with the lady from Atlantic Records and our manager. And I go, "This is dinner, and this is dessert with a suitcase of Budweiser." And it was during the Who Made Who tour. And I don't know if you remember that era of AC/DC, but
I do. Oh
every
yeah.
the tour they had a contest. You dress up like Angus Young, you each go up on stage with him.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, we weren't dressed up like Angus Young, but we were kind of shoe-ins. I mean, we went out there with BCN and Atlantic Records, so they gave you this cardboard guitar that looked just like Angus's cardboard SG, and then they brought us in a room and briefed us like you go 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't do it now because my left leg's paralyzed, but you can't see my legs anyway. And, you're gonna be
Do
up
the
there.
Angus Young stance.
Yeah, you're gonna be up there for about 2 minutes. So Springer and I get up there and then not like really following the program with the 1, 2, 3, 4, like fuck, spin the guitars around, look like fucking beach blanket bingo dancing. I'm trying to untie my shorts so I can shine a moon, and I feel this giant hand grab my ankle, and they pulled me off stage, and we were up there for about 30 seconds before they gave us the fucking hook.
What was that like being on stage with the AC/DC? Who Made Who? That was like
Um,
probably their height. I mean, they were big then.
They're on this riser behind the drums, and right, 10 feet away from it is this giant tube that Angus is like coming up through playing, the beginning riff. And then, this is something I was just talking to someone the other day. So we're backstage, we're hanging out, and I give Angus a gangrene Budweiser shirt. And he looks at it. He goes, "Budweiser, that's piss beer." I go, "What are you drinking?" And he had a fucking tea. He goes, "Tea," like with his pinky out, it was
He
like,
had some tea.
yeah.
He had some tea and biscuits.
Yeah, it was like
You the
having a friends over for a tea party.
oh, see, I'm at the age where I'm down for having some tea. I would drink some tea with Angus Young.
Oh,
I would be smoking some weed though too. So
I would, I would, I would drink horse piss with Angus Young if I had the opportunity.
there you go. Exactly. That's great. That's a great story. That he called your Budweiser
Piss beer.
piss beer, and then he had his little tea.
I mean, it was like really a dainty little teacup, like, and he had his pinky out.
That's classic. Angus Young. So let's talk about Free Karen Reed. This is for people that don't know. I want to make sure people know. This is Chris Doherty from Gang Green. He's one of the biggest hardcore artists in the country, basically. Very well known in Boston, but nationally as well. He's very influential. He's toured the world a million times. He's still got a lot of fans. And I'm really happy to have him on the show tonight. And a lot of us are. We're happy that you're still around too, Chris, after that stroke.
Oh, yeah.
And
I hear that a lot. Hey, I thought you'd be dead by now.
yeah, all the stories that you have from your drinking and your party and how crazy. And it was really that crazy. I mean, you had a song called Alcohol, which let's get into Karen Reed though. So how did you get into Karen Reed? Because you talked about you have been watching Turtle Boy.
Yeah.
What was part of the case that you kind of just were like, I gotta stop, I gotta show, because you showed up in Dedham.
Oh yeah.
How did you get like that involved? How did you get like so interested in Free Karen Reed?
My whole life, I've had like minor arrests for small things, but I never liked cops, and it just had cover up written all over it. And I've been saying this is gonna be a great movie since day one, but that picture you posted of myself and Turtle Boy, the beautiful blonde lady in the background, one of my very best friends, Julie Eaton, she got me into this. She got me watching Turtle Boy, and then, once you start going down the rabbit hole and start seeing facts or bullshit, bull crap, you realize how deep it is. And I get to tell you, Mike, when we were down there at the courthouse, I couldn't believe how loyal and faithful those supporters are. I mean, a lady actually came up to us and said, "Is this your first time here?" I'm like, "Yeah." "How'd you know?" "Yeah." And she goes, "Because I know every face down here." And then this is good. There was one guy that's there every day, and they're saying, at lunch they come out here and they go down here. So we, kind of stood over there, and Karen Reed came by, but the guy that was telling me which the route they take, he goes, "Oh, you won't believe this. The best part. It's fucking hilarious, Chris. The cameramen, when they're following out of the courthouse, they're walking backwards, right? And they walk into these posts, and
yeah, I always did that. Yeah, yeah.
But like they had pizza, like we were sitting on one side of the street, and this really gracious, hospitable lady goes, "Why don't you come over the other side of the street? It's about 20 degrees cooler," and it was in the shade. And they had, waters in a cooler, bottled water in a cooler, and pizza and calzones.
Very welcoming group.
Very, yeah.
Did people realize who you were, that you were Chris Doherty from Gang Green? Did any of your fans see you there?
No, I mean, Mike, it's anytime I go anywhere, it's really humbling, but a lot of people recognize me that I don't recognize, but nobody said it down there.
Yeah.
And I want to be loved for who I am, not what I've done too.
Yeah,
So,
I get that.
yeah.
I totally get that. That's what someone said. I'll have to research Gang Green. Never heard of them. Where can people find out more about your band?
Go to Wikipedia. Wikipedia page. Actually, like I said earlier, I'm from the town of Braintree, and if you go to the Braintree Wikipedia page, you get a huge kick out of this. I'm actually listed as a notable resident of the town and notable alumni from Braintree High School.
You should be. I mean, to me, I don't know who else is on that list.
Like John Quincy Adams.
Oh, that's true.
Mark Wahlberg, Donnie Wahlberg, Mo Vaughn.
Are they really from Braintree? I thought they were from Dorchester.
Yeah, but they moved to Braintree.
Oh, they did.
Big.
Huh. Okay.
In fact, their house is like probably a quarter mile from where I was living, and we go up there like on a Sunday morning just to screw around with people, and there'd be license plates from New Hampshire Maine, Vermont, Connecticut, and there'd be all these girls outside. We were like, "Hey, you see Donnie yet?" "No, but we saw his little brother." And
The-
it got so bad they had to like hire a detail cop to be at the end of the street to keep all the traffic out.
for Donnie Wahlberg.
Yeah, but they do have a pretty high tech studio in the basement of that house. I went over there one time to check it out, and it just wasn't. It wasn't really a job interview, but our genres just didn't fit together.
Someone asked, did you sometimes jam at Adrian's attic? You know about that?
No,
No, in Braintree. That's a Braintree question.
no.
You got some comments coming out. People remembering you from performing at the channel. Here's one. Tell Chris something. Tell Chris I remember him from Gallery East in the channel way back when. Wish him well.
Who's that from? Because Gallery East,
That is Allie B. Allie B said that.
the Gallery East, first, second show, and we played the channel all the time. And you said you saw us at the Linwood, right?
Yes, the Linwood, whatever they call it, Church Linwood Grill, that Kilmarnock Street spot there. Yeah. Yes.
I used to. All my friends would we'd gather there. We'd like meet there before rehearsal, and then drive together. And for lack of a better term, I think I was a pretty solid regular. But that night we played. You said it was wild.
Oh yeah.
It was the second time I've done this, but I dove off the stage, crowd surfed to the bar, stood up on the bar, down to Budweiser in one gulp, and then crowd surfed back.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Well, all I remember about that show is there was a beer being sprayed everywhere. I realized where the Darkbuster people got the beer spraying from. It was from Gang Green.
Funny you mentioned it. Lenny is one of my best friends in the whole
Yeah,
world.
he's great.
He's just been. I mean, I used to run into him, and I recently I told him, I said, every time I ran into you, I thought you were like trying to challenge me for being the drunkest guy in the place. He's like, yeah, I was. And then, but now he's sober, and I've gone to AA meetings with him, but we really became friends. The Dropkick Murphys took out Gang Green, Lost City Angels, and Darkbuster on a tour.
That must have been a great tour. Oh my God, I would love to see all those bands together. I love Darkbuster.
Yeah.
Wow, that would have been a great tour. So when was that? What year was that you went out with Dropkick Murphys and Darkbuster? Lost City Angels.
96.
96. Wow. Are you still talk to those guys from Dropkick Murphys?
No. I mean, I bump into some of them every now and then. My best friend in that band is Josh, the old bagpipe player, Scruffy. And they kind of unceremoniously fired him.
Oh boy.
And it was for some shit he was doing, but he was doing it with everybody in the band. And they had an intervention, and so you kind of imagine what he was doing.
Yeah.
And didn't rat out, kept his mouth shut, didn't rat out. He didn't say, what the fuck, man, you were over here getting high with me yesterday. He just kept his mouth shut. He's a solid dude.
People are asking about other bands here. I want to go back to what's on the screen. John O'Keefe is from Braintree, just like you are. What I mean, you must talk to a lot of people from Braintree right now. What's the word on the street about this whole thing? What are you hearing?
I just hear cover up, corrupt cops is the things I hear the most. There's no way they can find her guilty. And I kind of have to agree with all of them. I can tell you, after Jackson's closing argument, I was, not guilty. There's no way they can't come back with a not guilty verdict. And then Auntie Bev starts explaining all that stuff. And that confused me, and I'm not even a juror. So,
Yeah, we're finding out that they can't even get the jury. Massachusetts has cut back on transcripts, on court transcripts. They don't use the expensive transcription service that everyone else uses. So they have this, woman in there speaking into the thing, and it's discouraged. They don't give them transcripts. They only allow readbacks if the jury unanimously asks for like one specific portion to be read back to them. The judge didn't advise them that they could do that. So and basically it seems like the judge has basically told them, you have everything you need. Don't ask for anything. So it's basically de facto, the jury doesn't get access to transcripts.
No, they were looking
That's scary to me right now because of how much has gone on in this.
back or cert, something like that. Like they wanted the information from that. And she said, no, you got all the information you need.
Yeah. That makes me nervous. I mean, what do you think's going to happen here?
I hope she's acquitted. If she's not, it's going to be like the Rodney King riots in Dedham, man.
Do you think people will riot? I mean, I'm not so sure about that because I think there's a lot of women down there, mostly women. I don't think the women are going to riot, but I mean,
But
who knows?
Badass as men when it comes to something if they're passionate about it like this.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they're going to beat each other up, but I'm sure they'll smash some windows and steal handbags or something.
Yeah, do something.
Yeah.
I mean, I think hell's going to break loose politically. That's what I'm hoping, anyways, in terms of resignations, people getting fired, people resigning.
People getting locked up too.
Yeah, I hope so.
Mm-hmm. So, Mike, I've been saying, like, the jury's delivery now is like innocent or guilty. That's one thing, but let's get down to what really happened. I mean, one of those people going to be on trial. I mean, Brian now looks like the biggest douchebag in the world, doesn't he?
I mean, if it's true what they say, if he sucker punches people regularly that are cops, like he's a jerk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who does that?
If you're watching, I'm 5'5.5" tall with the left side of my body paralyzed. I live at 12 T-Rock Gardens in Marshfield. Come on to here, and I'll fucking sock you right in the fucking jaw, you asshole.
In a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Chris isn't afraid. That's what I love. Let me ask you this too, because I feel like I don't know enough about this, but I have a feeling that you were a leader on this too. Like in Boston, like SSD and a lot of these other bands, they were straight edge. There was kind of a straight edge movement going on where it was frowned upon to drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes or smoke weed or do anything. And you guys were like, drink, 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 and party, party, party. Like, how did that go over? Like, was there any friction among the hardcore movement at the time?
We knew it wasn't in vogue, so we kind of did it behind the scenes.
Ah. But, so you weren't as vocal about it at first?
No. I mean, that was, 1980, 81, when the straight edge thing was really kicking in, and then it was probably 86 when Alcohol came out as a 7-inch. And, we've been talking about Springer, and Springer was a singer for SSD Control and sang all those songs about straight edge and all that. And that kid and I have been causing trouble, smoking weed, drinking beers, and whatever else we can get our hands on since we were 17.
Yeah, it's the thing about Springer too. Like when you see him out, you're like, "There's no way he's straight edge." Yeah. Yeah.
One thing about the guy, he's a, I don't know how his heart fits inside his chest. It's so big.
He's a great guy. I love him. I think he's so much fun and nice.
Yeah.
He's got love. He really loves the music. That's what I like about Springer. He's into the music. He's a fan of it. He shows up and not just hardcore. I like you. Like I think the best musicians like all kinds of music. That's what my experience is. The ones that I like end up telling me they like all this other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, like earlier I was talking about Bruce Springsteen and Led Zeppelin, which aren't in most hardcore fans' record collection. But I have no problem admitting I love both those projects. You know,
So
I know we have mutual connections with WBCN, and we spoke about it briefly. In 1986, they had the rock. Every year they had the Rock and Roll Rumble,
the Rumble, yeah.
and from the time the neighborhoods won it, I was reading about that in Boston Rock. It was one of those things I always. I mean, I shot for. I want to win the Rumble someday. And then one day I was up in the balcony of the Orpheum conducting some sort of criminal activity, and I looked down the stage. I said, I want to play here someday. And both dreams came true on the same night in 1986 when we won the Rock and Roll Rumble on the stage of the Orpheum.
That must have been amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
How was that like at the peak of it too? I bet like 86 must have been. Boston radio was just, especially BCN, that Rumble. That was, I guarantee it must have been the peak. Was that about the peak of like the music business, everything, right?
Peak of my career.
Yeah.
As a local musician.
1986, man. That must have been wild. And it's funny because the country was so like middle of the road, but you guys were having, I guess that's why, right?
Yeah. It was something new. It was like the Sex Pistols breaking out again.
Yeah. I mean, that's why the whole grunge thing happened. Like, what? It's 10 years later, basically, right?
Yeah. And Mike, like the word alternative music was going around at that time or a little bit after. It was like, alternative to what? This is what I do. There's no alternative to it. This is me. This is my music. These are the songs I wrote. In fact, are you a Metallica fan?
A little bit. I mean, I like some of their older stuff.
Yeah, I love Master of Puppets, but
Yeah.
I was a really big fan until I met them.
Are they jerks?
Well, down at Great Woods, right? And heard from hundreds of people that they saw them play alcohol. And I went up to James Heffer and I said, hey, my name is Chris Doherty. I'm from a band called Gangrene. You used to play one of my songs. And he looks at me and goes, I never played one of your fucking songs. And I was like, all right. So then we're back at the Holiday Inn, just pounding beers. And I'm sitting with Lars and he's like, yeah, no doubt about it. Can't live without it. I love that fucking song. You wrote that. I'm like, yeah. And then the tour manager comes up to me and he goes, hey, take it easy on those beers. Those are the ones that James wants to drink.
So James is the dick. Lars seems cool.
Yeah. But he said, take it easy on those beers. Those are the ones James wants to drink. So I went right over to the cooler, grabbed two of them, click, popped them open. It was one in my hand, one between my legs. I get the Irish passport.
You're giving me Doug Benson vibes when Doug Benson, I don't know. That's another story. Doug Benson was a dick, so I raided his. We basically took all of his backstage stuff, and sometimes you got to be a brat, right, Chris?
Hey, I mean, I didn't choose to be a punk. I just developed into one.
Yeah. I mean, what I love about the hardcore thing, and just you too. You're a regular person. You're not trying to be a rock star, right?
No, but I am on so many levels.
Exactly. That's the difference, right? You are. You're not trying to be.
I'll be at the Boston Garden for a Bruins game, and some guy would come to me and go, Chris Doherty, and shake my hand and goes, saw you guys here. So, and my usual response, Mike, is, I saw you guys play back in 1983. I'll shake the guy's hand, look at him and go, I thought you looked familiar.
That's great. Love it. Well, what would your advice be to, I'm going to ask your advice for a couple things. Number one, for any musicians, artists, creative people out there trying to make a life of their passion. It's a hard thing to do. You did it. How do you make a life out of it? How do you actually do it?
Well, the old question is how to get to Carnegie Hall, right? You practice. And that's what it took. Every day before school, I would sit there and play my guitar from the moment I woke up until I had to leave to jump on the bus. And then as soon as I got home, I played my guitar constantly. You have to constantly improve. And the thing I always loved about the guitar is you can never master it. There's so much to do. But it was so exciting, like developing new skills and getting there. And I mean, I play with a lot of musicians and been with producers that are like, Chris, I saw you guys play. You're just like a punk rock rhythm guitar player. I had no idea you knew about music theory and arrangements and all this. So I mean, my music IQ is pretty high up there. One of the best. I'm sure you're familiar with the Neighborhoods, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, David Minahan had a studio down the Fenway, and myself and Walter Gustafson, who was one of the most legendary drummers in the city, uh, recorded an album called Another Case of Brutality. It's 24 tracks. And on the back cover, what we had is a case of Budweiser long necks, and on top of each cap, we had a song title. But that was my best recording experience ever. It was me, Walter, and David. That was it the whole time. And all the songs were written at the kitchen table with myself and Walter. We'd sit there, and I had a little like kind of Walkman, but stereo Sony recorder, and I'd lay down the parts. And so when we got in the studio, we get his drum track down. Then we go out in the hallway so I could have a smoke, and we listen to the next one. And like, it's like four here, four here. Let's do a drum fill there, and then we'll solo went out. And I've always worshipped Minahan, the guitar hero of mine, still to this day. And to be in a studio spending 12 hours a day with that guy for a few weeks was just, cemented our friendship. We got a lot of respect for each other. And when he got the gig with Westerberg, Walter ran into it at the Paradise and said, "Hey, Dave, give me a chance, give me a tryout." Dave's like, "Sorry, Walter, we're all straight. We're in the program." And he goes, "Okay, I'll be at the bar." And then after we finished that recording, David loved Walter, loved his playing, his knowledge. I mean, Walter was an integral part of the mixing, and it was just an awesome time. And it's one of my favorite. It is my favorite record I've ever recorded.
Amazing. It's funny, my girlfriend, she one of her favorite, Carmelita. She loves the Neighborhoods. We always listen to the Neighborhoods around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know your girlfriend well. I mean, she was an integral part of the scene. She was there. She wasn't a Johnny come lately. She was there from the beginning.
Yeah, she's great. I'm very thankful for her, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Luck.
love. I mean, we're such great friends. And when I was talking to her the other day, I called her Terry, and she goes, "Oh, I love it when you call me Terry."
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
And
I
I'm so happy that you guys are gonna be grandparents.
oh yeah, the
Uh,
news that we found out last night is pretty amazing. Let me ask you about advice for the Karen Reed supporters. What, like, a lot of them are stressing out about all this. What would your advice to them be right now, waiting for a verdict?
You got to embrace uncertainty, let go of the ending, and stay in the moment because you don't know what's going to happen. Anything in life. So again, embrace uncertainty, let go of the outcome, and stay in the moment.
Oh man, I love that. Oh shit, man.
People
It's
always say,
exactly what people I'm gonna keep saying that. And because I think that is such a key. I think that's one of the like a few things about you. I think that you've had success, like hard work. You work hard,
uh-huh.
work at your craft. That's what I've been trying to do on the show, at least for myself. Like, because I'm not perfect at this. I tried to do my best. Sometimes I still suck, but I try to do my best. But the hard work, I know that matters. But the big thing that's hard for a lot of us is embracing uncertainty. And it's something that I've learned in life recently, more recently, that you really have to do that. I mean, I could see that theme in your life. Embrace uncertainty. And what was the other one?
Let go of the outcome
Yeah.
and stay in the
Live in the moment too. That's the other thing. Living in the moment is so many of us live in the
moment.
past with the
Let go.
nostalgia, or we live in the future. Got to
Right.
live right fucking now. So that's like the other one I love.
Yeah, embrace uncertainty, let go of the outcome, and stay in the moment.
Present is so important.
And really close friend of mine that I used to work for explained that to me, and we went out to get some food. We went to a Chinese restaurant. My fortune cookie was like something like "stay in the moment." I mean, it was just so like connected to what I just learned.
Love that. I hope everyone's hearing that. Embrace uncertainty. And we have a lot of uncertainty right now, so embrace it, people.
Yeah.
And live in this moment that we have. This, you never get the moment back.
You know, someone, a good friend of mine just recently told me there are three things you can't change: the past, the truth, and me. That's some good stuff right there, isn't it?
Yeah. This is what that's why I love the old musicians, the old rockers. You guys you've lived experience. You have like experience that other people don't have about people, about work, about the system. It just
Yeah, you know, I mean, Gang Green recorded that the first compilation, Boston LA, we were 15 years old. I mean, we were kids and we were doing gigs, you know, like sophomores in high school, doing shows in Boston, getting home at 3 o'clock in the morning and having to go to school. Like, you know, I kind of know what I want to do. I don't know if I want to be here, but I did pay attention to math because my dad was an accountant or a banker, and he, you know, would quiz me all the time. And one time I was doing help my daughter do a math homework. And I was like blazing right through it. I mean, granted, she was in fifth grade, but I think I'm a little smarter than a fifth grader. And she's like, "Daddy, I had no idea you were this smart." I'm like, "Oh, thanks, kid." You know,
get a lot of fans in the chat here. Nicole Rico says 80s hardcore is life. I love me some 80s hardcore. We got a question too for you from 10th. They say, any opinion on the 80s Boston band Vile?
it was Jay Mascis band, wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
Dinosaur Jr.
Maybe.
We had played with him like somewhere out in Western Mass, and I thought the singer and guitar player had a lot of talent at the time. You know, but they were Vile. I mean, their goal was like to try to piss the audience off as much as they could, but they were great.
Really? Jay Mascis was in a band that tried to piss people off? That seems so funny now.
You know, if that was him,
Yeah.
and you know, I played in a band called Jerry's Kids for a while too, and Brian Jones, great friend of mine, him and his brother Rick and Bob Sensi and Brian Betzker, who played with Gang Green for a while. Uh, you know, when Boston LA came out, Brian still has like these letters from Jay Mascis saying, "Yeah, I'd love to play with Jerry's Kids sometime."
Wow, it's amazing. I
Yeah.
wonder what those would auction for. I bet people would pay money for those.
Oh
The
no,
memorabilia, people love that shit, don't they?
yeah, no shit. I've got my old toilet seat I'm about to put on eBay.
What are you putting on eBay? What is it? You what?
Old toilet seat.
You got a toilet seat. What do you think the bid for your toilet seat will be? This is
Started at
awesome.
1,000.
What is it?
It's going to start at 1,000.
Oh my god, you are still a punk. I love it. Chris, does anyone want to spend $1,000 for Chris's old toilet seat? Chris Doherty. I bet you'll find somebody that will buy that. I
Yeah.
guarantee you. You know it, right?
You know, put in your bid.
Put in your bid.
Get 1,000 for it, but I will entertain any reasonable offer.
Where are they going to find that? On eBay, or can they find it? Yeah. What else? Are you on social media?
You know, I have a Facebook account. I'm on Facebook, but I'm never on Facebook. So I would tend to say no there.
Okay.
Actually, the problem is like through all these years of killing brain cells, it's like on my iPhone, I can't get apps because I forgot my Apple ID. I forgot my Facebook password. It's just, there's so much shit being thrown at me every second of every day, especially through this recovery from, catastrophic life-changing event where my left side of my body's paralyzed. Uh, I really don't have time to do that. Be honest.
Absolutely. You focus on what's more important, right?
Yeah, and that's my recovery.
Are you getting any sort of recovery? Like, I know it must kill you not to play guitar, right?
Mike, I have dreams at night. Like I'm at a gig, I'm backstage, hanging out with the guys, get on stage, play a great show. I wake up in the morning and I try to move my fingers and I can't, and I literally start bawling my eyes out like a fucking infant.
Mm,
It's so hard.
I feel you on that.
Yeah,
I
but
used to be a big high school, college wrestler, all that, and injuries got me. And
yeah,
even after the fact, I even when I was in after college, I used to coach the kids, high school kids and shit, and wrestle other coaches and wrestle my brother. My brother's a monster, actually. He's like 6'1", solid, younger than me, but so he's got a chip. And so when I got hurt, I couldn't even do that anymore. It just I had the same thing, the dreams where your back doesn't hurt anymore and you can do what you used to do. It sucks sometimes.
I struggles with drugs and alcohol. I've been in and out of the AA program for a while and met some really good friends there. Like you kind of said this, like next to the guy at the same meeting, and I was like, there was something I've been doing every single day of my life since I was 12 years old, and that got taken away from me. And I give an elbow, I go, not jerking off.
You could still do that.
Luckily,
It's the guitar. It's the guitar. I totally feel you. It's got to be really hard. Well, let's hope you get it back. I mean, you're doing what you're supposed to do, right, for recovery.
yeah, I will be back. I lay in the hospital bed after having a stroke. I was in the hospital for 3 months and then in a wheelchair for 6 months after that. But my friends and bandmates would call it. I get like 340 contacts on my phone, and I think they all got a hold of me. It was like, I had a stroke and I can't play guitar anymore. And they'd say, can you still sing it? I never really could. But last summer, I did 30 shows. I did 4 U.S. shows to warm up, and then did 26 European shows.
It's amazing.
I had a great band behind me. I assembled, and I just sang, and it was all my songs. And I still have fans out there. I mean, people would show up, and my thing was that, someone's come see a band that was like kind of there, gone, and now back in a different formation. I wanted to be approachable, so I would just kind of like hang outside the club every night. People come up like, may I take photo with you? I was like, yeah, of course. And here, you autograph this. Like one night, this collector had 25 different covers that I signed, like from 7 inches, EPs, bootlegs, stuff I didn't remember recording or even know it was released. So stuff like that makes you feel good and help me get through this, tough part of life.
Amazing. It's great that you were able to come back and tour. That's just pretty amazing itself.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
I believe it. I definitely believe it.
Fingers work and I can play guitar again.
Someone just said, I had a stroke 7 years ago. Now I am fully back to normal, except for a slight weakness in left hand. They said, but please quit drinking. Do you still drink?
A little bit here and there.
A little bit here and there, but you're not like crazy like you used to be, right? What is it?
I'm sober more than I'm drunk.
Yeah. See, he's sober more than he's drunk. Give him a break. Everyone wants to tell everyone else what to do. It's a thing on the internet.
Yeah.
That was a good comment until But you've been in AA and things like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it work for you like that?
Yeah, I usually get like a little kickstart by going to a detox or rehab for a while. Most recently, I was down at High Point in Brockton. I spent like 3 weeks there, and I got to tell you that they're great staff. If anybody from High Point in Brockton is watching, thank you. I love you. Had a great time there. Learned a lot. And then, I'll go to meetings constantly. Last week, I think I went to 6, but I would have been 7, but I didn't go last night because I went to see Tree. And,
awesome.
And if you weigh the options, I had a much better time at Tree than I've ever had at an AA meeting.
Right? I mean, yeah. It's a good time.
It was awesome on your show the other night, and he had some really nice things to say about me, which means a lot to me. But I love that kid. One thing that he introduced me to my second wife, who is the mother of my daughter Grace. So if it wasn't for Dave, I wouldn't have Grace in my life.
I love Dave. He's done a lot just for so many people, even for me.
You know, he's there all the time.
Yeah, he is. He shows up.
Yeah,
Someone's asking about Jerry's Kids. What do you think about Jerry's Kids? That's another old school band.
yeah. I played guitar in that band for about a year and a half and recorded the what some deem the best hardcore album ever, Is My World.
So you were in Jerry's Kids too? See, I don't know that. I wasn't aware.
And one time I was in Jerry's Kids, Gangrene, you know, like kind of more like probably 60% in Jerry's Kids and 40% Gangrene. But if we had a show coming up, we'd do it. At the same time, I started a band with Dickie Barrett called the Cheapskates, which was the first incarnation of the Mighty Mighty Bosstones.
Wow.
And man, that was fun. You know, the first time, you know, we like, all right, well, let's get this guy to play drums. Nate's a great sax player. Let's get him. You know, Ben can play bass. Me and Richie Hughes from Stranglehold playing guitars. And we all get together in a rehearsal studio. And it went absolutely nowhere, man. It was like a fart in church. And I said, well, why don't we play that hit song called Let's Drink Some Beer? And then we wrote that song, Let's Drink Some Beer, which ended up being on our first album with Roadrunner and was a staple in the live show of the Cheapskates. It kind of came out of frustration because we weren't getting anywhere. And I just threw a song title in it. Ended up coming alive.
Were you surprised by how big like the Bosstones got after the fact?
Not at all, man, because they were constantly touring or recording. I mean, they worked hard. They certainly paid their dues.
That's what I was gonna say. Like they reminded me of you, like another hard workers. Like they show up, they play, and they were everywhere for so long.
Right. I think we were a huge influence on them. I mean, Joe Gettleman played in Gangrene for a couple of albums and probably 4 or 5 tours. And there were things like like the Boston started putting all these videos out, and there were things I saw in those videos that I had spoke to Joe about on like an overnight ride through the Midwest, like an 8-hour drive. But you know, we just sitting in the back of the van drinking beers and hanging out. There were like ideas I had that I saw in their stuff. Not saying he, you know, maliciously rip me off from it, but I could care less about that. But
Yeah, you gave them some inspiration. You were a little muse. That's good. Yeah.
and you know, they sell and have sold a lot of merchandise since they first started.
Oh yeah.
And I think that was influenced by us. You know, we were influenced by some of the California bands that we'd play with and tour with, and saw what they were moving for T-shirts. In fact, I was kind of surprised when I went to see Social Distortion at the MGM last month. They had this like giant T-shirt booth set up, and 4 different like stations where you could pay, like Apple. You know, you slide the card or whatever. They were moving a lot of shirts.
Moving the shirt to you notice you're a business person. I love it.
Yeah, man.
So let's get just to wrap this up today. What do you go? I love going back to the Karen Reed thing. Are you gonna show up in Dedham again, or is that like a kind of one time thing to check it out?
Yeah, I'm not sure if my great friend Julie Eaton, that's in the picture with myself and Turtle Boy, she works full time and has a part time job, and she's the one that brought me down there. I don't know if she'll have time to like get us down there again, but I would love to go.
Yeah, I would love. I think people would love to see you down there again,
Yeah,
especially. Yeah.
Guilty or innocent, I'm following this to the end.
And like like you said, you've been watching Turtle Boy for a while. How like what was you watched Sean McDonough as well? I heard.
Yeah, I love Sean. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your like moment that you're like, wow, this is there is something to this. Was there any moment, or was it just kind of a slow drip? How did you really get on this free Karen Reed thing?
It wasn't really a slow drip. It was more like a tsunami of just cover up. And, you know, you get a, you're a cop and there's a cop dead on your lawn and nobody goes inside your house. Your dog disappears and this guy's dog bites all over him. You know, and how's long to die in the cold? I think the evidence is so not guilty for her, but you never know. And again, like I said earlier, you know, guilty or innocent, let's figure out who killed John O'Keefe. You know, fucking Brandy boy, a Boston cop. I was reconnected with an old friend of mine, Sonny O'Keefe, the other day. And I asked if he was paying attention. He goes, "Yeah, of course. You know, John O'Keefe, say the same last name." I said, "Well, that doesn't mean you related to him. You know,
Well,
you a couple of drunk grandparents in Ireland, and
yeah.
now
What do
you."
you like the O'Keefe family themselves? It seems like they feel like Karen is guilty. They still seem like they're sticking to that.
I
What
don't know. To
what
say
would
that.
you tell them, especially if it's a hung jury or not guilty? Like, what would your kind of advice to be if you could talk to them?
I say you can't be that freaking stupid. She is clearly innocent. And again, Brian Albert, I live at 12 T Rock Gardens in Marshfield. I weigh 160 pounds and half my body's paralyzed. Come over here and I'm going to whack you right in the head with a golf club. Anytime you want to come in. In fact, I'm sitting around right now. Bring some beer.
Make some beer. Oh, I love it.
I want you to be ringing the doorbell with your elbows because you carry so much beer. You like something like that. Ring the doorbell.
Oh, oh, Chris, I'm laughing. You're cracking me up. Is there any final thoughts you want to leave everyone with, or a story, or anything you want to share tonight?
Hey, I'm lucky to be alive and just love life. And as we were talking about earlier, let go of the outcome, embrace uncertainty, and just stay right in the moment. And what happens, happens, and you have no control over it. So just live life to the fullest and don't regret anything you've done, regret the things you haven't done. And Mike, I got to say, it's been awesome and a real pleasure. I told you when we first started talking about this, I was a big fan. I mean, I watch the trial every day and then watch somebody at night, and I usually go to the Young Jerks.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's like it's strange lately to hear of some of the people watching that you look like a, you're like a pioneer. Like I just in the music scene, especially in Boston, you're like, so it's for me, it's just like it's humbling, I gotta say, to hear that. Thank you so much for being here.
It's
I'm
humbling.
glad we had this moment. We had this moment today, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, it was great. You know, it's humbling for me, Mike, to be invited onto a show that I watch every night. And you know, I mean, usually Mark Bettero's over here where I am. I mean, I'm not as smart as him, but I think I'm a little better looking.
I think you're just as smart too. Like I think that for me, you're right up there, man. I mean, you made it. Somehow you did it your way. Like people know who Gangrene is, especially the old timers.
Yeah, we get any other good comments or questions in there?
Oh, they're just saying thank you, Chris. This has been awesome. There's one. Chris, more thank yous. They're laughing. They're laughing about bring some more beer. Like they love your little comment that you were talking to Mr. Albert. Everyone's still laughing about that one. They also said, Chris, words of wisdom. Thanks for coming on today.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I loved it, Mike.
Here's
And
another one from Nicole. She said, thank you, Chris. This has been awesome.
yeah, give Terry a big hug and say this from Chris.
We will.
All right. And tell her I love her.
I will. I think she's watching. I'm pretty sure she's probably watching right now. So I think you just told her.
I hope she is. Hey, Terry.
They want to know if you can play a Gangrene song right now, but you can't. You can't play guitar. So, but can you sing a couple lyrics to a song? Maybe I love that song, the cover you did, Voices Carry. I wonder if you could even sing a couple of lyrics to it.
I'll do one of my favorites. It's called Out on the Couch. And that's where I spend most of my time. I've got a bedroom, but I sleep on the couch every night. You figure you sleep or a lot, 8 hours a night to going to bed and then waking up. So the other 16, I'm on my couch. One of our songs, Out on the Couch, is love being out on the couch, and the channels come and go. I missed my favorite show, and I lost the freaking remote control again. So I crack another beer, puff another joint. Before you know it, I'm out on my mind. Whoa, out on the couch, out on the couch. Whoa, I'm out on the couch. I'm not leaving the house.
That was awesome. I love it. And I'm glad you got some weed in there for me.
Yeah.
I'm the weed guy. Thank you so much for being here, Chris. It's been a true honor. Gang Green, if you haven't checked them out, check out their Wikipedia. A lot of their songs are up on YouTube. Just Gang Green, you will find them. You can also, like, if you want to watch a movie, American Hardcore, Chris is in that movie. Check it out. Thank you so much for being here, Chris.
Mike, it was absolutely my pleasure. Thank you. Like I said, I respect you, and I look at your show every night. And I've been involved in this case, and I am a musician. I'm a local musician, but I'm I don't watch CNN, and I'm not really up on world events, but I've been following this case because I think there's a lot of cover up and injustice, and she's getting hosed. But free Karen Reed. And Mike, I'd love to get together in person one of these days.
Definitely. I would love that. Thank you so much, Chris. Free Karen Reed, indeed. We'll be watching this week. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Oh, the pleasure was
today.
mine.
I'm saying today. Usually I say tonight. It's today. Thank you so much for being here today.
Mike, it was awesome. I really appreciate you having me.
You too. Have a great rest of your weekend. Go Gang Green. That was Chris Doherty. True honor to have him on today. That was awesome. Wow. Someone you kind of look up to and they come on your show. It's pretty wild. Tonight we'll be live at 8:30 with the attorneys. Attorney Betterow. We got attorney Shannon McMahon, who is also a former prosecutor, practicing attorney. We're going to revisit some of the conversation last night about the jurors and the transcripts and all that good stuff. So 8:30 tonight, we'll be live on the Young Jerks. Also at 6 p.m., I'll be on the Broken Baker with Attorney Betterow, Attorney Burkhardt, Andrea Burkhardt, and Brady Churchill, and Vahala, and the Broken Baker. The Broken Baker, check that channel out tonight, too. So 2 more shows for me tonight. 6 p.m., I'll be a guest. 8:30, be hosting back here at the Young Jerks. I hope to see everyone tonight. Thank you so much for subscribing, supporting, watching. Let's keep the faith. Let's stay in the moment. I love what Chris said. Embrace uncertainty. That's what I'm doing today. Embracing it. We don't know what's going to happen. Just what we can control is this moment. Make the best of it. Keep your spirits up. Thank you so much, Chris Doherty. You're a wise man. Very smart. I think you have high IQ too, man. I really appreciate you today. And he's a humble guy. Working class. I love him. Hardworking. And he's had some success. He's a great guy. Chris, he's a leader. Chris, thank you so much again for being here tonight. We're the Young Jerks. I'll see you later tonight at 6 on the Broken Baker and at 8:30 right back here.